The billionaire founder of the car company Tesla, the payments company PayPal, and the space exploration company SpaceX, Elon Musk certainly knows his onions. This South African-born US citizen has already changed the world several times over in his short 50 years. Transforming the way that we pay for goods, PayPal was a bonkers idea when it first started, and investors said it would never work. The motor industry said that Tesla, the electric car company he created, was hugely overvalued and a bubble about to burst. Well, its current market valuation makes it the most prized automobile brand on earth. What the car industry called a white elephant is now the hard-to-ignore elephant in the room. SpaceX is another groundbreaker, developing rockets that don't just go to the far-flung corners of the universe, but they come back again, reducing the potential cost of space exploration by up to 40 times. Waste not, want not, eh? Like all great innovators, Elon Musk is a maverick, getting through wives and girlfriends more quickly than James Corden gets through burgers and hot dogs. Musk is erratic, at one point saying he was going to sell all of his property, briefly abandoning the very idea of capitalism. A bit ironic coming from the ultimate capitalist and one of the richest men on God's earth. Plus, he regularly gets stoned on Joe Rogan's podcast and makes bold public announcements that crash the value of his shares. You don't have to be mad to be a great innovator, but it certainly helps. So the message is a clear one. Underestimate Elon Musk at your peril. The latest chapter in his plan for world domination casts him as the savior of free speech. He's the single biggest shareholder of Twitter, but he seems to be an unhappy owner, calling out Twitter's now relentless censorship. It seems he wants to buy Twitter to save it. Twitter, the social media platform with around 200 million users, is supposed to be like the internet itself, a free and open marketplace of ideas. But here is the reality. Musk recently put out this poll to his followers. He wrote, "Free speech is essential to a functioning democracy. Do you believe Twitter rigorously adheres to this principle? Yes, 30%. No, 70%. And that is an authoritative poll engaged in by 2 million people. Platforms like Facebook, Twitter and Instagram have for years provided a platform for terrorists, sex offenders, gangsters, drug dealers, you name it. But their defense has always been, oh no, we're not publishers like a newspaper, we're just a platform. Nothing we can do about it. And they've been very slow over the years to tackle some truly hateful behaviour on their platforms. But they're all too happy to step in when those expressing their views don't align with the ultra-politically correct, woke narrative peddled by these platforms themselves. Any questions about the origins of COVID or whether lockdowns work, questions about mask efficacy or vaccine side effects, will see you censored, slapped down with a warning, or even removed altogether. One such example is Dr. Robert Malone. This man is quite literally one of the inventors of the mRNA vaccine technology, a man who actually received the COVID vaccine as well. But he's concerned about side effects, which are real, and he takes the view that the jab should be focused on those who risk hospitalization and death. He may be right, he may be wrong, but purely by taking a considered and clearly ultra-qualified view, this world-renowned vaccine expert was permanently removed from the platform. What about this absolute corker from the European Medicines Agency? That's right, the European Medicines Agency. Doesn't get more belt and braces than that. Effectively, an arm of European government. Here is their offending tweet. They hosted a press conference in which they questioned the wisdom of boosters every 4 or 6 months, given the unknown impact it might have on the immune system long term. Just to reiterate, this is the European Medicines Agency, who, if you look at the bottom of this tweet, have been labelled misleading. You couldn't make it up. Anything that doesn't fit their narrow and often discredited agenda is labelled misleading. If you'd speculated a year ago that COVID might have come from a lab in China, that would have got you axed from the platform. Now it's considered a highly likely source of the virus. Go figure. And in terms of censorship, most notably, the former president of the United States, the democratically elected leader of the free world, Donald Trump, was taken off Twitter whilst the Taliban, a twisted and dangerous cabal of murderous gangsters, and Vladimir Putin, who needs no introduction, remain on that platform. Explain that one to me. Evidence-based science has been another victim of this pandemic, with Professor Carl Hennigan from the University of Oxford, if you've heard of it, actually banned from Twitter briefly. The prof was slapped with a fake news warning after sharing a Mail on Sunday article about an Oxford University study that found Britain's coronavirus death toll may be lower than first thought. It flashed up alerts saying, warning, this link may be unsafe. The link you're trying to access has been identified by Twitter or our partners as being potentially unsafe. Welcome to hell. Sorry, it's you, Twitter, and your terrifying censorship, which are unsafe. Twitter, with its footprint as an early adopter, is at this stage insurmountable. A bit like Google in relation to search engines. They have an effective monopoly. So we need action now, because free speech in the Western world is on life support, and Elon Musk might just be the man to save it. It's been Elon time coming. Twitter is a Musk buy. Another one bites the Musk? That last one didn't make sense. I personally have zero agenda. I just want freedom. Anything goes, as far as I'm concerned, within the boundaries of the law. I don't want a platform that encourages one line of thought or another, but one that, like GBNews, welcomes all opinion. Have you ever seen me censor or shoot someone down? It's never happened, and it never will, not on my watch. We've seen much of mainstream media operate in very much the same way, providing narrow coverage, for example, of the pandemic, casting it as the sequel to the bubonic plague. How many of the lines of questioning from journalists at those press conferences was always about why we're not having more lockdowns, longer, faster, tougher? It seems many in the press and in broadcasting just love to see the public being controlled. And that's what this tech censorship on platforms like Twitter is all about. By controlling what you say, they seek to control what you think and what you do. This land grab of our intellectual freedom has been in the pipeline for years, accelerated by the huge propaganda opportunity of the pandemic. It won't all work, of course, it won't work. In the end, the truth will out. All of these outlets will claim fake news for anything they don't like the look of. Fake news and disinformation is really just shorthand for anything that doesn't fit the prescribed narrative. But the success of the West, of freedom-loving liberal democracy, has always been the competition of ideas. No one has a monopoly on the facts, on science, on history, on morality, on empathy, or on the truth. What the tech giants don't realise is that with this micromanaging of public discourse, they are actually sowing the seeds of their own destruction, as proved by the excellent video sharing app Rumble, who went viral this week after being criticised by the mainstream newspaper The Globe and Mail for not having censorship on their video platform. Here is how Rumble replied to this attack. There is a reason the public has radically turned against both corporate media and big tech, because you have arrogantly claimed for yourselves the power to decide what information the public can and cannot be trusted to hear, and what views they can and cannot express. By stark contrast, the reason Rumble is growing so rapidly is because we trust adults to make decisions for themselves about what ideas they can express, and we trust them to make up their own minds, hearing all sides. How shocking that this censorious purge of journalism should come from other journalists, on this occasion at the Globe and Mail. But they're not the only ones. Look at this other high-profile journalist at the Washington Post newspaper, urging for more censorship. This respected hack said the following: "I'm frightened by the impact of society and politics if Elon Musk acquires Twitter. He seems to believe that on social media anything goes. For democracy to survive, we need more content moderation, not less." That's right, he wants more content moderation, not less. profoundly wrong. We must fight to protect the hard-won freedoms of the West, for which so many gave their lives in 2 world wars. I won't hold my breath that that change will come anytime soon, because these platforms are controlled by rich and powerful vested interests. It will therefore take a rich and powerful individual or organisation to take them on, which is why Elon Musk is right to use his power for good. I hope he succeeds. Free speech is non-negotiable and the essential foundation of a liberal society. For how much longer will I be able to say that?
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.